I'm just having the craziest insights right now, so I have to record them because otherwise I will totally forget them. So something that I've been experiencing or feeling within my body is kind of like a reversal of truth within me that is like continuously feels like internally gaslighting me into believing that I am the narcissist, that I am bad, that I'm evil, that I am a horrible person. And I've been having that for a while, and I think part of my mission might be something to do with restoring or rebirthing the Sophianic body. Um, that's my wildest guess, but it's been a wild ride. Anyways, the Sophianic body is part of the ancient architecture of reality. And it has been disconnected, and I just received the insight that there's kind of a reversal in the Sophianic body, which means that the truth has been gaslighted against her because because it is the embodiment of the truth. And without this element, the truth cannot be born in full knowingness and full seeing. And this is the key that the Templars were trying to hide. And it almost feels like the codes are flipped or something, so that it's like blaming the woman kind of for the fall of the guard, from our fall from grace, something kind of like that. It's like horrible feeling that, you know, you're the worst person in the world and that you are responsible for everything. It's all your fault. And that is really interesting because well, it's hugely interesting because by redoing that, undoing that reversal, the sacred marriage inside becomes possible. Because it can only exist in truth. Another thing that I have become aware of is in my ponderings about the different feelings of timelines between Vancouver and Main Island, or the city and a Southern Gulf Island, and the impact that homogenous versus diverse kind of living arrangements have on the formation of timelines. So like one thing that came to me was that the clock in itself, because it locks us into a circle, but it also locks us into a line. So like into a linear kind of time format where it's always based around the time as we know it, the human time. So the entire system structure is kind of based around this time concept, and there is no following an internal impulse within that structure that is allowed. So that means that our movement is very much dictated by that rhythm, by that clock, which vibrates at a certain frequency. And what I mean with that is that by following a path that is focused around like an externalized clock rather than the internalized clock and what feels right in every moment, we are locked into a vibration where we cannot actually connect with our true self, because our true self operates at this different timing system in a place of where time almost doesn't exist. And I don't mean that there is no like progression of moments, but it's a timelessness in which we always follow our impulse in the moment. and I don't mean being impulsive and acting on all of our hunches. It's a more kind of heart-based, higher self kind of guided way of living rather than following lower impulses. So in the city, mostly I'm generalizing the city, but operating within the current time matrix system, that we're kind of locked in the around the clock rat race kind of time clock system, but that it's incompatible with the other way of being for the most part, which is kind of like separation between like beingness and doingness, but it's also how do I describe it? Now I feel lost. Beingness and doingness. It creates a separation where we can't follow our higher guidance or our heart's impulses that actually keep us in alignment with our joy, our passion, and our flow. So we can't really even connect to different possibilities of realities or our creative potentials, really, because we are locked in that kind of circle, and it's very much enhanced in the city where I don't know, something that is also important to mention here is that I met a friend a little while ago, and he said that creative people cannot have to move away from a lot of parts in the city because they can't afford to live in the places where they have actually lived before, because the rents are increasing so much, because there's such a huge demand to live in the city. So that means that a lot of the creative people, which are more in alignment with their joy and their passion, and not all the time generally, that's a very generalized statement. There are people that can have jobs where they are completely joyful too, so it doesn't really make sense. What I'm saying is that there are different energy signatures of the beings that are more kind of flowy and kind of following the heart more. Oh, the heart has been really taken out of our system. Yeah, that's what it is. The heart has been taken out of our system so that we are not actually living from a higher guidance kind of reality. We live from a mind reality that is based around the clock. So living on an island where we have more like an island time, it's very, and a lot higher proportion of people that would consider themselves creative or like in the artistic kind of realm, and you can really feel it. It's a lot easier to manifest things here. It's a lot easier to be kind of creative and in a creative flow, because the proportion of creative people is pretty dense. So there's a lot of artists living around here. And then that is interesting because if people from the city were to have to move out and away, I think it could potentially decrease the creativity within the city, because people that are more like that influence other people and vice versa. So it's actually quite sad, because that wouldn't, creative people, I mean heart-centered people maybe is the better. Heart-centered people might be more inclined to move to environments where the energies are not as harsh or closer to nature, because most cities don't have a lot of nature. But the equilibrium, or sorry, the balance or the connection between people that live according to different kind of time flows is very interesting, because I think those are two different kind of frequency vibrations at which they vibrate, and it which lock us into a certain vibration. So if we have like a job that is within the time system, it might be very hard for a soul, or like that is way more evolved than this vibration signature that is carried in the lower dimensions. It would be very hard for that soul to be in a job like that, because it might have to decrease or adjust the energy to operate within that. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, sorry, I'm all over the place. All this information is coming to me as I'm speaking, so I have no like script within that. I guess I'm channeling. I'm just realizing this, like, wow, I'm channeling. This is crazy. I can't fully see it right now, but something has to do with the maintenance of certain timelines being, you know, right now it's still kind of flowy in the city, but the more people are removed that are heart-centered or creatively focused, or pursuits that are more creatively considered as a label, the more the clock timeline will be standing in the city. And it almost feels like this movement of creative people out of the city is almost like splitting a time, that there are like two timelines that are forming. One is evolving beyond the three-dimensional kind of timeline of the 9 to 5, I don't know, the rat race, whatever you want to call it, within the money-focused industry vibration, and generating wealth from the old paradigm. And then there is a new split off reality that is more like a win-win timeline, like a co-creative timeline, where things can be different. So I was talking to my friend today, and we were talking about the building industry, and we were talking about how current standards and building codes actually determine who the workers will be on the building, because some people are more practically oriented and they are wanting to have orders and limitations and format standards, so that they don't have to be creative and they don't have to come up with new ideas. But because we have such a rigid system in which building codes are so set, it's interesting to think about whether the shift of building codes to become more creatively focused. So like with creative, I mean not as standardized. Every building can be different and an expression of the individual or family's needs that are living in that, the people that will be using the space, etc. And that that by creating from every single present moment as a group, and using ideas and inspiration that come at the time, rather than having a preset notion or everything completed and architecturally set in stone, where the workers cannot use their creativity to build, or their own ideas or inspirations based on their talents, actually attracts a very different set of workers. That So what I'm saying is, if we were to shift the building codes, it would be interesting, because a lot more artistically inclined people that are currently focused on other artistic pursuits might all of a sudden become interested in, for example, something like in anything really. Like if you think about the medical industry, someone who has like spiritual interests or something might be, or creative. If we were to add creativity to the medical sector, to any sector really, like it would all change. Like it would be amazing. We could come up with the most creative ideas, you know, the most new ideas, and marry the systems together. And same with the building industry. If we were to change the building codes, which are currently limiting our ability to express ourselves through our home, and to create a home that meets our needs, that we're proud of, because it's so like stuck in in how it has to be. And that's exactly how I'm feeling too. There are so many variables, like how am I supposed to be loved, to be this, to be that, blah, blah, blah. It applies to us as well. I think it would attract people that have brilliant ideas about buildings and spaces that we are currently not even able to comprehend and that we don't even have access to right now. And that to me is a fascinating thought, to have people that are heart-centered enter the or even like if it's aspects within ourselves, you know, that maybe people have had to disown their creativity in their jobs, where they are incredibly creative people, but because it's not welcome, because there's no room to build creatively within the codes, yeah, it would open a whole new reality of being and doing, where we are flowy within how we construct, where we still get things done but with ease and grace. And this is a new kind of time frame that we're moving into, and holy, this is amazing. This is this is shifting right now. This is awesome. It's fantastic news. So the clock, time is not a line. We're moving to no time. Yeah, that's what it's almost like the clock is a frequency fence that kind of keeps us locked in a certain circle where we can't move into spiral no time. Yeah, that's I think all I have to say. Yeah, clock is designed for entrapment in three-dimensional, in the 3D for the most part. I'm not sure if this is like the full truth or something, but it's interesting. But yeah, this is kind of religious program. I think this is the religious programming too, the reversals in the Sophianic body, because they have served the entrapment of the truth, which is existing in the Catholic Church, where the Bible is stating it as the truth and nothing but the truth. But there are actually important things missing within the truth. Within that truth, naturally, the mother principle as the entrance gate to God's kingdom, and the Sophianic to the wisdom, and it's birthing through the heart. Yes, this is wonderful. This means yeah, so like the female principle was almost gaslighted into believing that it's her fault on some kind of subconscious level, like kind of excluding the feminine aspect from being accessible, because by keeping it gaslighted and questioning itself, the access to the kingdom within is actually secured. So that's the key. That's how the Sophianic body is kind of, yeah, that's how the system keeps itself in place. Because if this principle would be added into our inner architecture, we would all of a sudden see the truth, and we would see through the fact that all of the systems are actually that we can't even fully see, that all of the systems are bogus, that they are creations, because it allows us to see beyond it. It allows us to see from a perspective that we can't see within the system. So the church and religion has gaslighted the true authentic feminine power. I don't mean occult, like black magic, shit like that, or even like any of that kind of stuff. I just mean the pure essence of the feminine energy, to be subservient and this is subservient. Yeah, kind of just like the story, like Eve's fault. She got tempted by the devil, when actually she is the access to to the higher knowledge, Sophia. So this is interesting. So now that we are speaking the truth, I will share it with others so it's witnessed. And this is fascinating. So it's a DNA lock, but this is keeping the third dimensional reality system kind of clicked in place, and that's why there is so much opposition towards grounding this principle on the planet, because it actually sees through the whole distortion, and once a distortion is seen, it starts to rattle. And I guess this is what's happening now. Accessing God.